Help me reach 4,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one of them. Thank you. I never imagined my own decisions could unravel into something so destructive. My name is Emma. I'm 34. And for the past 7 years, I had been with James, a man whose patience and gentleness I relied on far too much. James wasn't flashy, never the type for dramatic gestures, but his loyalty was unshakable. He trusted me completely in ways most people never dare to, giving me access to his world, his family, his friends, and his calm, devoted heart. For months, the affair lingered like a shadow that followed me everywhere. It started harmlessly, or that's what I kept insisting to myself. Liam, the new graphic designer at work, was charming, witty, and boldly confident. We joked, we laughed, we crossed lines I knew should never be crossed. Every message, every hidden look, every late-night text sent a rush through me, even as guilt gnawed at me like a constant pulse. I told myself it meant nothing. I told myself James would never find out. But the truth, as I would soon learn, always finds a way to claw itself into the light. It started with a slip, not on purpose, just a piece of my double life, left out in the open. My phone buzzing. As James walked into the living room, I froze, heart slamming against my chest, as I rushed to silence it. But he had seen it. He saw Liam's name. He didn't speak right away, just stared, wide-eyed, searching. And in that instant I knew my carefully hidden betrayal had burst into his world. James didn't shout. He didn't storm out. The stillness in the room tightened around me, a silence heavier than any argument I could have imagined. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, steady, but every word settled on me with crushing weight. Emma, is this true? I tried to answer, to explain, but the words tangled. I wanted to lie, to deny everything, but the honesty in his eyes made my entire body tremble. The truth, bare and unprotected, was impossible to hide. Yes, I whispered. He said nothing. Didn't ask who, how long, or why. He walked to the window, pressing his hands against the cold glass, staring at the street below. Panic tightened my ribs, the fear of losing him suffocating me. For hours, neither of us spoke. I watched him move through the apartment, carefully, every motion deliberate, every step soaked in disappointment. He didn't throw anything, didn't yell, but the air between us was thick with everything I had destroyed. The trust, the history, the years I had treated carelessly. When he finally broke the silence, the reality hit with full force. I trusted you, he said quietly. I let you into parts of my life I've never shared with anyone. And you handed that trust to someone else. Every syllable cut deep, deeper than any outburst could. I tried to explain, to justify, to piece together excuses, but the hollow grief in his expression stopped me. He wasn't angry, he was wounded. And that silent devastation, the heartbreak of a man who had loved me without reservation, was worse than any scream I could have feared. That's when I realized the real nightmare didn't begin with him finding out. The nightmare was in watching him fall apart, seeing disbelief and pain spread through him, knowing I was the cause. Yes, I had betrayed him, but in a way that couldn't be patched or forgotten. Not easily. Not without scars that would outlive apologies. And still, he didn't leave. He didn't call anyone. He simply carried himself through the apartment with the quiet discipline of a man clinging to his dignity, revealing the full weight of what I had done. By evening, James finally faced me again. His eyes looked hollow and sharp, as if they could see straight through every excuse I had rehearsed. "I need space," he said softly. "I can't pretend this never happened. I can't see you the same way." I nodded, feeling every pause, every breath, every ounce of heaviness between us. That word space meant more than distance. It meant separation, fracture, the beginning of a life I had never imagined without him. Yet beneath it all, I noticed something unexpected, the quiet pride in his voice. No anger, no threats, just absolute clarity. I wanted to reach out, to hold him, to beg for one last chance. But even lifting my hand felt wrong. I had smashed the trust that had held us together, and any attempt to fix it felt like reopening a wound that was still bleeding. The next few days were like living with a stranger. We avoided each other with unspoken coordination. I tried to talk. He wouldn't listen. I left messages. He ignored them. And in the silence, I finally grasped the depth of what I'd done. It wasn't just the end of comfort or routine. It was the collapse of intimacy, the quiet understanding that once made us feel like home to each other. Then came the moment I dreaded. He didn't confront me with rage. Instead, he calmly laid out everything he had found. More than the affair, more than the texts, emails, small lies, little inconsistencies I thought he'd never notice. Each truth was another wound, and as he spoke, I saw the full picture of the damage I had caused. It wasn't just the betrayal that destroyed us. It was his unwavering clarity, the quiet precision with which he pieced together every truth. "What now?" I whispered. One night, voice shaking, he looked at me with a steadiness that made my chest ache. "I have to protect myself. I have to stop being hurt. I can't stay with someone who chose someone else. I can't live pretending." There was no shouting in his tone, just honest, painful logic that made me feel small and powerless. For the first time, I saw James as a man with boundaries, someone whose dignity I had underestimated, and I understood that I had lost the right to stand beside him. Days drifted into weeks. James slowly packed his things, folding them carefully as if closing a chapter he never wanted to write. I watched, heart heavy with guilt, shame, and regret. I thought about every reckless moment, every lie, every thrill I had chased, and realized the nightmare wouldn't leave. It would linger, echo in my thoughts, haunt every future attempt at healing or explanation. He never lashed out, never sought revenge. He simply held his dignity close, quiet, steady, and unbroken. And in that strength, I finally saw what I had really lost. Not just a partner, but the trust, the love, the safety that had been built over years of loyalty. On the final night, before he left for good, he came to me one last time. No begging, no last argument, just a long, clear look filled with everything he didn't say. "Remember this," he murmured. "I didn't hate you. I just stopped seeing a reason to stay. That's all." And then he walked away, leaving the door slightly open behind him, the apartment feeling emptier than ever. And I stood there, realizing some betrayals aren't about the act, they're about what they destroy in the heart of the person who trusted you most. I sank onto the couch, the weight of regret crushing me like a physical burden. I thought about the life I had shattered, and the man I had taken for granted, and I knew I'd never forget the way he carried himself, calm, composed, untouched by the chaos I had created. I betrayed him, and in losing him, I learned a truth far more brutal than any lie. Sometimes the greatest power isn't in anger or retaliation, but in leaving silently, preserving your dignity, and showing the person who broke you that life continues with or without them.
And
That I realized is a nightmare I will carry forever.